Do you feel like your guitar solos are not coming out the way that you're imagining them? They might be a little flat, right? They might be like a little bit lifeless. It doesn't give you the same feeling that you get when you listen to your favorite guitar players. Well, I want to go over why that is. This is what I've learned from my over 2 decades of teaching, and this is going to be incredibly helpful. And of course, I'm not going to make you sit and watch me babble for that long without giving you some tactical advice to put under your fingers to make your guitar solos better right away. If you do not know, my name is Ryan Gaughan. I've been helping guitar players for over 2 decades now, really bridge the gap between their creative ideas and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. If you would, please hit the subscribe and bell notification to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. All right, what is happening is we're listening to our favorite guitar soloists and we're getting a feeling from their guitar solos. They are saying something to us. We don't necessarily care what scale they're using or what note it is that they're hitting. Of course, that is very important. But what we really care about is the feeling that we get when we're listening to it. And that's the feeling we want to convey. And that is very difficult because there's no mathematical way to do it. Some of the theory is very mathematical. Put your fingers here. This is the minor pentatonic. This works over these chords, right? That there is a way to look at this stuff and be like, that is the right answer. Of course, rules are made to be broken, especially in music, but there is a correct answer on paper, let's just say. But that's not what we love. We love the feeling. Now, when we're looking at guitar soloing, it's looking at this humongous blob, right? This sort of like amorphous thing. And we never get down to all of the little details of what makes that blob so awesome, so interesting. So when we take to the internet to try to figure out this giant blob, we don't know what we don't know. So we end up just wasting a ton of time getting some tips. We don't even know if the guitar teacher can play or understand that feeling the way that we want to convey it. And we're just sort of getting a little bit of information and a little bit of math. And quite honestly, sometimes it makes the journey a little bit more confusing, right? We're not compartmentalizing these things that make up the big structure. We're just looking at it, again, like a blob. It's like a journey of 100 miles starts with the first step. And we're trying to do 100 miles all at the same time, you know? So this is the way that I like to look at it. It's as though I were going to go to another country and I get dropped in the middle of a conversation between two people and they're talking and I'm trying to understand, let's say like a 10-minute conversation, you know, and I'm like, okay, wait, what is that? I can't even tell the beginning and the end of words, let alone phrases. Did they pause because they asked a question? Did they want to hear a response? Did they pause because they're emphasizing what they just said? Why are they laughing now? Why is the conversation slowing down and their voice is dropping? Why is it speeding up and they're getting a little bit more excited? Why did the end of that sentence, you know, the accented word sort of raised up? Why did it go down? There's so many things. And I'm looking at that, trying to understand all of that at the same time. The only benefit to that is we have deciphered a language before, right? We had to communicate our native language. With music, we don't even have that, right? This is a completely new concept of how to make people feel a certain way, right? So that's why this gets so confusing. Now, if I have somebody that speaks that language, that can show me all of those little details, not only will I learn that so much faster. I mean, so much faster, you know, what words to use, why they're using this phrase, and so on and so forth. Trying to get through that conversation and figure it out might be impossible. And that is the way that I'm looking at this whole big blob, you know. When people come to work with us, this is what they're trying to tackle. And they're not able to do it, whether it's with, you know, just like your run-of-the-mill guitar teacher, you know, down the street, or trying to do it themselves. My fear, you know, when I've had students, one in particular, one of my favorite students more recently was Marty, waited 15 years before he came to us. And then a few others, it was around 5 to 10 years, you know, of trying to get through this. And they learn what they need to within 4 to 6 months, you know, and that's because there's somebody here showing them the direct line. When you're over here, you again don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what to search. You're searching vague topics into YouTube, and I'm not gonna lie, it makes it a little bit more confusing. The thing about a lot of programs too, not to knock programs or whatever, it's just this is the easiest way to do it, is they're teaching you the math part, right? The right answer part. And the more that you learn it when you go through pentatonics, the positions of the pentatonic, then you start getting into modes, and you start getting into chord changes and chord extensions and how to play outside of the key to elicit a certain feeling. You are going through all of this information, and then you wind up at the end saying, but I just sound as boring, just more. Like I could just do boring more and faster and cooler, but it's still boring because along the way you're not learning that creativity and that artistic communication that we love, again, about our favorite guitar players. We want to be doing that along the way. As soon as we learn the minor pentatonic, we want to jump right into how can I make this expressive, and why is it expressive? What am I listening for to make it expressive? That is what we do. The whole time, so you're not just learning this sort of like math information part, and we really are learning it like a language. So what is that connection, that linguistic connection that we're really looking for? It's the time that you have the creative idea, what you want to say, and the time that you're able to say it right through the guitar just shortens and shortens and shortens until it happens just like a conversation, right? I don't need to know exactly what I'm going to say next when I go introduce myself to somebody. It just comes out naturally because I know the language inside and out. It is not possible to say something or play something with feel without knowing what it is that you're saying, which is why, whatever, it's A minor, I'm just going to play the A minor pentatonic. Yes, but do you know what you're saying? And you need to make that connection. Then you can start doing all these really cool things to say what you know the way that you want to. That is playing with feel, right? That's sort of like the elusive feel. So I'm not going to make you sit through all of that and not show you some really cool stuff. Let's just do the minor pentatonic. You can take these concepts on into major, Dorian, whatever mode it is that you're using. I'm going to use the minor pentatonic because that's the best scale to start with. So if you're super unfamiliar with some of these concepts, or at least just this linguistic concept, right? We could start in with something that's really easy. And again, this concept does work with whatever mode it is that you're doing. But if I have my minor pentatonic, right? It's the best way to start emotionally attaching to what these notes really mean. Now, I go over this a lot. If you've seen my free training, whatever, that you're going to know some of these concepts, of course. But I have my scale, spelling. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. 1, flat 3. 4, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3 up here. Cool. My ones are going to sit me down here. I'm going to feel really good. So if I have, and I play a lick, it's my 1. I'm down here. I feel really safe. Awesome. The notes on either side, the flat 3 and the flat 7, those are going to drive a little tension. It gives us a little like, almost home, but not quite. And that's why we like have a little bit more of a desire to get there. That's up here. That's going to drive an emotional spark. So if an emotional arc, I should say. That's my flat 3, right? The 5th fret on my G string. That's like, ooh, I'm not done. It's my call. If I want to do a call and response. What do you want? Down here, right? So if you start playing licks that end on a flat 3 or a flat 7, the notes on either side of that root note, right? Just type in pentatonic spelling if you need help with it, really understanding the stuff. But you're going to drive the tension up by landing on a flat 3 or a flat 7, and then you're going to bring it down by landing on a root note. It's fantastic, right? What you want to do is do that over and over. The best way is to play a lick, right? If I do here, 5/8 on the B, 5/8 on the E, that's my flat 3, that's my tension note. Okay, so I can play that. Play the exact same lick, your root note or your one at the end of it. So all you're doing really easily is playing a lick that ends on a flat 3 or a flat 7, playing the same exact lick that ends on a root note. It also trains your ear to be playing the exact same thing. Sounds boring, right? It's not. You're training the memorization part of your brain that is really, really important, because even if you start changing the licks that you're playing, you want to remember what you just said so that you can carry the conversation on. This is the best way to do it. You're killing two stones with one bird, right, so to speak. We're learning to emotionally attach flat 7, tension, to release. Hear it. Attach yourself to it. I know that sounds like woo-woo and silly, but understand that you're not just playing random notes. You're playing these on purpose. So you're doing that, attaching to the emotional connection, but you're also strengthening this memorization part, which is going to be so important moving forward. That's what this lacks. I don't remember what I was playing or saying, because I'm not saying anything important here. I'm not saying anything important here. I'm not saying, it's just random, right? But if I can at least go, can I remember it? All right, I can strengthen that. Now, if I move my solos forward, two completely different phrases, but one does play on the next. I played the second one because I remembered the first one, and I'm considering it. I'm telling a story moving forward. That is the first thing to do. Just take 2 strings at a time. Know what those notes are. 5, flat 7, root note, flat 3. Say, all right, play a lick. Doesn't matter what it is. Ends on a flat 7, play the same thing. Do that over and over and over and over and over, right? Now, there's techniques that can make your solos so much better. These are also the other little details that we're missing when we're sort of looking at this gigantic blob. And that is something, I'm only going to give you a couple, but let's just say volume dynamic, right? I can play some things quieter and I can play some things louder, just like the human voice, right? If I bring up the voice, it's going to make it more important. It's going to be a little bit more in your face. If I bring it down and I whisper a little bit more, maybe you're going to lean in and you're going to listen to that a little bit more intently, right? I can say the reason this works is because I'm making deliberate choices. So if I have my licks, right, maybe just play a couple of the notes louder, a couple of the notes softer. Try it. Now, if you are emotionally connected to the phrases, the 2 phrases that you played, try to start connecting to the louder dynamic and the softer dynamic, right? Whatever lick it is. I mean, I think the best way to start doing this is take a phrase, like I just played, that you really like, right? Cool. And just use that. Don't start going off to other phrases yet. You know, let's play that phrase. We're emotionally attached to it. We understand the call. We understand the response. Let's get into dynamic. Quiet, loud. How many notes do I want to play quiet? How many notes do I want to play loud? Do I want to play the entire phrase quiet and the entire phrase loud? Do I want to play both of them loud? You know? And now, because I don't need to focus so much on the phrase itself, I can just focus on that particular way to say it. It's a beautiful thing, you know? If we were going to, let's say, add a little bit of staccato here. This is another great idea, you know? If I'm speaking to you and I'm moving, right, music is supposed to mimic the human voice. Music is not mathematic, right? People who excel more in anything language-based, you know, English, you know, literature, that kind of thing. I'm sorry, English, because that's my native language. They excel more in music because that's what music is. It mimics the human voice much more than... The only reason that we use numbers and it becomes a little bit mathematical is because we can't say, play the note that makes you feel a little bit sad, but then also a little bit angry if you play it louder, it would just be two. We just say the flat 3, and that's why it for some reason people have this idea that music is math based. It's got a tiny little bit of math. That is not the point. So back to this. If I'm just speaking like this and I'm moving one word into the next, right? It's got a nice flow to it. And then for some reason, I stop right here. And I hit those words a little bit more staccato, right? Got, those syllables. It's going to draw some attention. Try it. Now, okay. Couple notes staccato, couple notes one into the next, do a whole phrase staccato. Again, what does it feel like? Do you like the feeling? Are we saying something? It's a great exercise. Then from there, that's going to be the last one that I'm going to give you. Then from there, it's almost like if any of you have done mixing, right? Old school mixing, where you sort of have like the faders to raise the volume and lower the volume, right? This is the way that I like to think of it. Take a phrase, same phrase, you have that you finally have been able to attach emotionally to. And what you're going to do is you're going to crank up the staccato and crank up the volume and then lower the staccato, lower the volume. But these do not have to move together, and they shouldn't move together. That's too predictable. You can go in and out, right? So you're not just playing loud staccato, low volume, legato. That's not what we want to do. And when you can control both of these, they're moving independently of each other. You're making two separate artistic choices. Now you're saying, all right, I can control these two ways of saying something. What's a third way? What's a fourth way? What's a fifth way? And we're going to move further and further and further. I think the wonderful part is, if you're watching this and you are sort of stuck in, if this is helpful, let me put it that way. If this is a very helpful video, you're going to be able to move into playing better guitar solos immediately. Listen to your favorite guitar players and see when they're doing it and how they're doing it. The thing is, we've started here, right, on step 1 of, I don't know, 1,000. So there's so much more to uncover, but at least you're starting to uncover and look at the two tiny pieces of this, or I guess 3, because we're talking about phrasing as well, of this gigantic blob, right? Just 3 little tiny things, and then you just start adding them up and adding them up. It's not arduous. It's certainly not boring. Right, and it's not pointless. This is what we love about our favorite guitar players. I cannot stress that enough. Finally, if you really want to speed through all of this, so you're not just on your own self-discovery or trying to rely on, somebody that teaches in a very like, just pay me for 1 hour of my time and I'll show you a song, right? That is not going to be very helpful, and you're tired of sort of the endless searching on YouTube. I have 2 things. I do have a free training in the link below that you can check out. It's 3 steps to full fretboard fluency. We go into the phrasing part and the rhythmic part of this. So you can check that out. The other thing is, if you want to book a free consultation call to join our fretboard fluency mentorship program, that is also below. You can kind of go through, see where your playing is, see what your goals are, and see if you are a right fit. I want to thank you for staying to the end of this. If you would hit the subscribe and bell notification just one more time, that would be awesome. Thanks for staying till the end of the video, and I will see you in the next one.